Imagine if you could focus the entire resources of an entire planet's logistics and production capacity to build one thing. How much could you achieve? Well, you could build a city like this one. And this is the capital of the new Martian Republic. Metropolis #01. Ahoy and welcome back to Per Aspera. I'm Commander Tyrael and we are 66 years, 15 months and 2 days into our mission to terraform the planet Mars. We have reached a planetary temperature of 35 degrees, which a lot of Earthlings would consider to be quite hot. But I don't want my Martian Empire, burgeoning Martian Empire, to ever have to worry about the water and atmosphere just being blasted away ever again. We've just instituted a magnetic dipole shield, which will shield the planet from harmful radiation. And so we're hoping that in the next few years there will be an absolute explosion of life on this planet. There is only 4% CO2 left in the atmosphere, and so I do wonder a little bit if the plants will die off once the CO2 is gone, or whether there is enough ambient CO2 being created to keep the plant life alive. We will see. This is all an experimentation. It is my first playthrough. If you haven't seen the earlier episodes, make sure to go back and check those, because this will be, I believe, the final episode. My goal was to terraform the planet in 100 years, as stated before, to get one of those elusive achievements that only 1 or 2% of the player base has ever achieved. We're putting in a tent city, which is a pressurized colony, because we don't quite have breathable air yet. We have almost finished out all of the research. We're just finishing off the open city, which is a city that does not require anything except water and food, which can be created by the local open air farms that we've planted. But unfortunately, the farms are not surviving. It seemed like it was going to cost a lot of resources to get the Martian defense network online, but it seems like we have now finished, as you can see.
That'll be enough to deter any aggression from Earth. Well done. Long live the new Martian Republic.
For the Omnisire. Our problem now is we have a bit of a runaway effect and there is too much oxygen being created. And we're at risk of reaching that flashpoint, apparently. I don't want to reach the flashpoint where the oxygen is rich enough to just ignite. That would be bad. Planetary pressure is almost at 1 bar, 1 Earth atmosphere. And the average temperature has dropped now across the planet to a nice 30 degrees. Since we stopped the creation of greenhouse gases, their effect on the atmosphere's temperature has decreased as well. We're hoping that as that temperature starts to drop, it'll be more conducive to proper plant life. We just have to lay this foundation for that by spreading lichen first. Yeah, as we convert more oxygen, the temperature is dropping quite rapidly, so I think it's going to stabilize at a nice 25 degrees Celsius. 17% of the entire planet is coated. It's time to start bringing in ice asteroids, and nitrogen imports. We've got 3 ships bringing in nitrogen. And so the oxygen is sitting way, way too high. We do need to bring in a lot more nitrogen to stabilize that. We have completely run out of CO2. There is none left in the regolith. There's none in the poles. Only what we create now out of carbon deposits, which we are still doing because I don't know why. But it seemed like a good idea. We have all of our space elevators working on getting materials to Mars, introducing as much nitrogen as possible. We've now reached a colonist limit of 1 million colonists. We had just finished building our first tent city when the first open city, I guess it's like a megacity, with no dome, no protection, It's now up and running. So the first safe to live in, safe to breathe in colony on Mars has been established. And we also have the backup colony there in case something goes wrong. Everything north of the large ravine is going to be left uninhabited as a large nature reserve. And we've got a base that hopefully will be able to still function once the ocean comes in the middle on a giant mountain. 82.32% of the planet has been scanned. The biomes are shifting rapidly. We want the really light green one because that's the best for plant life. Red is good for lichen. Yellow is bad for plants all around. So we need to try and spread that out somehow. All of these imports are having a great effect on the nitrogen levels. 68% of the atmosphere is now nitrogen. Making sure to link up the water network. Then we're going to put all the biodomes here to keep spreading this life as much as we can. I would like to see that northern nature reserve actually have nature to reserve. With the Martian defense network all around the planet, we have the magnetic dipole shields, we have the solar mirror array. It's a very, very technically advanced civilization starting to live here on Mars. The ocean is yet to reclaim our mining site. We are cleaning up the last of those deposits. All the small ones are dry. Today, 72 years, 4 months, 15 souls into our mission is a momentous day. It is the day that we are going to turn off all of our protected cities and possibly all of our research outposts, and everyone will move to these brand new open city. I believe we'll keep the tent one there just as a backup, but I'm confident that we can breathe the atmosphere of this planet very, very soon. And before long, it will be the envy of the solar system. Might do away with the organic material dumpsters. We don't want them chewing up any more land. We have enough oxygen, I believe. There's no more CO2 to convert. And we will put as many of these animal sanctuaries around to replace what we're about to lose for our research facilities, our research bases. Because once the tech tree is finished, there are repeatable technologies that just continue to make the colony better and more efficient. This next research is going to help the plant life live around our buildings. So I'm interested to see whether the rest of our buildings will start spawning life. That will be great if so. We've got our space elevators working on bringing new colonists, and we've just had a huge spike in our population. So I'm going to expand on our farming. Start utilizing this land.
Hey Amy, it's Sonna. How's it going?
Great.
Everything's good here.
We're doing good.
I've got some great news. With the oxygen, pressure and temperature levels confirmed, I'm happy to say that Mars is officially terraformed.
What? We've finished our mission?
Congratulations, Amy. This is a historic moment for all of us.
Pop the champagne.
Congratulations to you as well.
The environment
It wasn't easy getting here,
has stabilized.
but we did it together.
And it's just the beginning. Look at what we've done together. And there's so much more we can do.
I sense a proposition coming my way.
You got me. I've been talking to Nyan, and we have a few ideas. Can I share them with you?
Why, of
Of
course.
course. I'd love to hear.
As you know, the techies need our help. Between the famine and pollution, the eastern countries are barely in a livable state. If we establish Earth-Mars trade routes, we can supply them with what they need to make things better.
Ooh.
On the other hand, we've got the future to think of. Mars was only the beginning. With our alliance, we can spread further into the universe. We should be planning our next mission.
Venus. Let's do
These
Venus.
options are fascinating. I'm curious.
It'd be like the opposite. We have to cool a planet down. That would be really fun. Although I don't know
About them.
what the geology of Venus is like. It's probably
I'd like to
hell on
dig
Earth
deeper.
compared to this.
Well, you'd get to set it up from scratch. The manufacturing, the routes, the security, and... You don't need to choose right now. Why don't you let us know when you're ready?
That sounds cool. And so, my friends, it seems like our prime directive to terraform Mars to be suitable to life, unassisted, for humanity, and as well as other life forms, although they've been genetically modified to be suitable for this environment, we have completed that mission. This is what Mars looks like currently, but I feel like there is more to be done. We need to spread that life further, and we need to make sure that that reserve is in a good state. 8 years since the mission was declared a success, the temperature is stable at 27.8 to 28 degrees. We have 1.1 Earth atmospheres and 1,000 meters of ocean. My goal at the moment now is to spread out the hyperlane network to be 2 lanes, double lane each way, so there are no bottlenecks in those critical supplies. If you look at our supply stocks, we are starting to run out of carbon. Without having to utilize more of the planet's resources, I figured speeding up all the components that are already made out of carbon would be the better option. As you can see, the life is spreading quite well around the equator, up from our cradle, as we called it. There are some little growths starting to pop up as the biome spread. I did notice that I failed to use the humidifier, which releases water into the atmosphere, and if you place them next to a biodome, it really speeds up the process. So if I were to play again, that's what I would do as soon as possible. We started another arm, and my plan is to just fully populate as much as the southern hemisphere of the planet as I can in the next few years, and see if we can really get that planetary vegetation percentage up. We've stopped all imports of ice. We don't want any more water just yet, because I've got a little interesting feature that's sort of popped up as the course of the oceans rising. You can see all the river deltas are starting to form out, and I think that this has been quite a success. You might have noticed we've been given some extra additional objectives, and we have to increase the flora to 50%, as well as a total population of 50,000. So all of our ships are now working at bringing colonists from Earth, namely those countries in the eastern bloc of this Earth. Is called the techies. The Chinese, or former Chinese government, collapsed into anarchy. We've decided to start a new Martian republic, all hailing the machine god, who made life possible on this planet. We've completely phased out the use of water ice. Some various facilities still use it, but I can't find them. It's really just a matter of spreading the life and getting as many colonists as we can in. We already have a population cap of 51,000 in 2 open cities, and that's all we need to finish that mission. Should be wrapped up in the next 5 to 6 years, I believe. We're really just bringing everyone to our new utopia. 4th planet around a yellow sun. Making sure that all the humidifiers are powered. The northern reserve is starting to really fill out with life. Now that we can have plant life around our buildings, it really did just explode the growth. So our buildings were hindering life as well. Now our society is integrated into this new environment. Trying not to go too far north, but we just want to release a little bit more humidity here. The second lane of our planetary hyperloop network has to be connected up, and then we're ready for passengers and cargo. Doubling our efficiency, getting those resources around. If I had to explain to you my methods in building my base, that knowledge is long lost to me. It is quite a maze now. We started off with little tentacles exploring. Now we are a literal hive of activity. Just connecting up all the final stations. I will get rid of the drone hubs as well. They are limiting our build capacity. We cap out at 2,000 buildings. After that, there's no more. So after a while, it becomes about efficient building as well. Getting rid of all the solar panels and replacing them with fusion power. We even had to phase out our fission power plants to try and make our building cap more manageable. Running on the amazing Mars fusion power now, as well as a very generous planetary battery network. Mars's version of the Grand Canyon is a literal gash in the planet, like someone took a samurai sword to it at a planetary level. Very deep, but we're still going to put some water treatment plants in here to help prop up our water supply, which is always running right on the borderline. I have plans to really extend the southern hemisphere to try and spread the humidity around and take advantage of the wind. So unfortunately, I'm going to have to turn off all of our fission power plants. I mentioned it before, but I hadn't yet done all of them. We have a lot of these old technology nuclear power plants. I think for now we'll do 50. Could big impact on the power network. Just lost 1,000 megawatts as they all turn off. This one will be a little bit funny. We have to do this in smaller batches. The solar farms in the early game connected a lot of our base as expansion tendrils. So if I turn all these off, there's a good chance I will cut off the logistics for my base. So let's do these in batches of say 30 to 40. There are going to be a lot of them. Well, let's see what kind of... Oh, the whole water network just turned off. It crashed. I have a lot of repairs to do. If you have a look at the humidity map, saturation is great except for this southern hemisphere. So I think I'm going to build a second line around the planet from these two southern points to spread that humidity around those two southern oceans. I guess you could call them the greatest of lakes. They're not really oceans. The former Longhitani Indian space mission and iron mine has been swamped by water, and all that remains is this mountain, Elysium Fossae. There is just enough room for me to get the power and water still connected, and the hyperlanes moving in the resources as needed. That's going to be the future hub of our fusion power on the planet, as well as a major stockpile for all of our resources. And I think it looks great. Okay, what else can we turn off? We have actually scanned the entire planet now too, so it's time to turn off all of the areological scanners which have been faithfully chipping away at the fog of war for years. 86 years to be exact. I had to build some new stockpiles as well because I anticipated that there would be a lot of resources returned from doing this. If you have a look, we have 2,720 uranium after decommissioning all of our power plants. So they were pretty efficient in that we didn't have to deal with any waste at all. We just get the uranium back, thank you very much. Somehow. Having a quick look around the planet to make sure nothing's broken after we turned everything off. There are still some scanners being decommissioned. It's taking a while to get all of those sensitive electronics out of the towers, but it's only a matter of time. Now this was just precautionary before I started building my advanced southern hemisphere colony. And I missed a couple of the double lanes here, so we're extending them along this other section of the planet. Population is almost at 50,000. We have 49,176 men, women and children, growing every second. We are also at 49% vegetation. We're just waiting for this little section here to start doing its thing. The forests are growing at a rapid rate. Despite the amount of colonists that have arrived, we are creating so much food from these open farms. They are really making 1 million colonists possible. I don't think I'll go that far, but we will certainly finish this final objective. 50% plant life and a self-sustaining colony, that leaves me happy. The peak of Elysium Mons will be the home to all of our utilities, storage, power, and water treatment. Congratulations! Mars can now support a much larger population. The final technologies have been unlocked. Metropolis, an advanced open farm. Thank you for playing, Per Aspera. If you made it this far by the year 100, Mars has an extra secret for you. Ooh, tantalizing. So we have
I
finished
have detected
all
an uncharted building
of the
in
game's
SA-11.
objectives.
I should explore it.
Fantastic. We did it in 87 years. We managed to unlock that elusive achievement that I saw that only 1 or 2% of the population has ever achieved. And now that all of the objectives are finished, we're going to build south, which we intended to do anyway. We're going to try out the new advanced farm. I don't know how much more food it could produce compared to the open farm, which is just pumping out food. Chuck down 2 of those. They use 50 megaliters of water for an output of 1 food. I bet that's a lot of food though. And then we'll have a look at the metropolis. I don't know how a city could be any bigger. Laying down the expansion tendril, get some power in there, and then what we'll do is go east and west from here and fill in the gaps. All priority on the metropolis, the building of the metropolis. Got a rocket going off into outer space to catch some water for us. Imagine if you could focus the entire resources of an entire planet's logistics and production capacity to build one thing. How much could you achieve? Well, you could build a city like this one. We didn't know what to expect going into the research facility, but we were greeted by a kindly old man. I didn't recognize him at first, but it was none other than the legendary Dr. Nathan Foster, apparently smuggled away to Mars past ISA's security nets and been living happily here for a few years. He tells me he's been avoiding official comms and is just happy to watch you manage his planet. And now it's time for Amy and myself to power down. So we're going to take out the last of the research outposts. We're going to close all of the open cities. And we're going to move every single person into the metropolis. The former lowlands of Arabia Terra have become a verdant and lush swamp. The canyons in the center, the seas of Elysium Mare, soon to be filled with fish stock, I would hope. And this is the capital of the new Martian Republic. Metropolis #01, as a somber reminder that this place was not really terraformed by humanity, but rather assisted by the machine in the sky. One final look at the biomes for Mars. We have deserts, we have jungle deserts, we have temperate biomes. We have it all. That floodplain there is seasonal and comes back every year. The winds of Mars are mostly wet and life-bringing. There's a small area in the poles that are still dry, which I intend to fill out myself, but I won't bore you with all that. One final look at the planet Mars itself. A very, very big change over what we started with. And that's one of the most satisfying things about this game, the gradual change and then remembering back what it was. And so we say goodbye to Mars. The birds, the animals, they're all present, living harmoniously with no war. If only that were such a thing for our little blue planet. I'm Commander Tyrael. If you've enjoyed the series, make sure to leave me a comment. Tell me what you would like to see next. Leave a like. And you know what? Just don't be a stranger. Check out some of my other content, because I put as much effort into that as I do into changing worlds. Until next time, Commander Tyrael, out.